did you hear about Biocon? Apparently, they got some big news from Japan, something about a drug approval.
Oh, yeah, actually, I did. It's about their biosimilar of Stelara called Ustekinumab BS getting approved by the Japanese Health Authority, the PMDA.
Okay, a biosimilar. So, like a generic version of a brand name drug?
Well, not exactly generic. It's a similar but not identical version of the original biologic drug. Think of it like a slightly different recipe for the same cake. They have the same main ingredients, but the process might differ a bit.
Got it. So, it's a copy, but not a perfect copy. So, this approval is for what exactly?
It's for treating psoriasis vulgaris and psoriatic arthritis, which are autoimmune disorders. This drug, ustekinumab, is a monoclonal antibody.
A monoclonal antibody? What is that?
Think of them like guided missiles that target specific cells in your body. In this case, it's targeting the cells that cause inflammation in those autoimmune conditions. So, like a very precise tool in the arsenal of medicine.
That makes sense. So, this drug was developed by Biocon Biologics, right?
Correct. And they'll be marketing it in Japan through their partner, Yoshindo Inc. It's kind of a big deal because the original drug, Stelara, does really well.
Oh, wow. So that's good news for Biocon. I saw somewhere that their stock jumped after this news, right?
Yeah, the stock jumped like 8% after the announcement, which is a pretty significant bump, actually.
So the market really responded well to this. I mean, I guess this approval is a big win for them.
Absolutely. Plus, Jeffries upgraded Biocon stock to hold from underperform. They increased the price target for the stock by 43%. That's quite a jump.
Wow. Okay, that's a major upgrade. So, what exactly made Jeffrey so optimistic about Biocon?
Well, they see increased growth visibility for their biologics business now, especially with this Japan approval.
Makes sense. The market sees the potential now. What else is driving this, I wonder?
Well, I think it is that this approval is a big deal, but they're also looking at other things like the US FDA classification of their Malaysia plant and also some other biosimilar approvals coming up.
Okay, so more potential growth triggers there. What about that other bit about the US FDA status for their Bengaluru unit, the one with BAI status?
Oh, right, the voluntary action indicated status. It's a pretty positive sign.
And that means?
It means the FDA found some minor issues during inspection, but nothing that would stop them from continuing operations. So it's not a perfect score, but definitely a good enough sign.
So it's like getting a passing grade with a few notes, right? So they can keep doing business, but there might be some improvements needed.
Exactly. It's like a green light, but with a suggestion to tighten things up. So this VAI status also added to the positive sentiment around the stock, actually.
So that's good that they're working on that. Now, this Stelara biosimilar, it's expected to have a big impact, correct?
Yes, the original Stelara had sales of about $7 billion in the US in 2023, so a big market to tap into for sure with its biosimilar version.
That's a massive number. So the Biocon is potentially entering a very lucrative market then?
That's the idea. They'll be selling this biosimilar as Yes in Tech. It's a big opportunity for them, definitely.
That's really interesting. I guess Biocon is moving up in the biologics world.
Absolutely. And that this approval means they are a real contender now, with this biosimilar version of Stelara.
So it's not just Japan that they're focusing on. There's the US market and more potential approvals too.
Yes, Jeffries highlighted a few more key things to look for in 2025, including US FDA classification of their Malaysia plant and approvals for other biosimilars like BS part. So it's like they have multiple growth avenues coming up.
Right. So lots of things to look forward to. It's interesting how one approval can create so much optimism.
Exactly. And it shows how the market reacts to positive regulatory news, especially in the pharmaceutical industry, where a drug approval is like a major victory, I guess.
And it's more than just one approval, right? It's like multiple positives lining up for Biocon with a big biosimilar potential and an increase in growth visibility.
Yes, it's the combination of the Japanese approval, the US FDA VAI status, and the potential for other approvals that has got people excited, it seems.
Okay, so a lot of positive developments. It seems like this is a good time for Biocon, right?
Yeah, everything seems to indicate that. The biosimilar space is really competitive, though, so they'll have to keep pushing to stay ahead.
Right, like a race with lots of other runners. So, is there anything else that we should be watching out for?
Well, how they roll out Yesentech in the US, how they expand their market share in B. stellara, B. humira, B. aspart, and that generic semaglutide, that's all crucial in the coming year.
Got it. So the next few months will be critical in terms of seeing how they actually launch these products. It'll be interesting to watch, I guess.
Definitely. It's always exciting to see how these developments play out in the real world. So, what do you think? Will Biocon maintain this positive momentum?